Hello and welcome back. In this Black Excellist presentation, we will highlight the Black CEO Challenge.
Welcome to blackexcellist.com, the site where we share Black excellence, opulence, and affluence. Our mission is to inspire you as we enlighten you.
Business and diversity scholars say the executive suite is still one of America's most exclusive clubs. Pardon me for being a little blunt, but the corporate hierarchy resembles something like a plantation, heavily white at the top with a strong Black labor force at the bottom. For decades, corporate America has failed to hire, promote, and fairly pay their Black talent. Even after a generation or two of Ivy League educations and extraordinary talented and loyal African American professionals working in corporate America, we seem to have hit a brick wall with the number of Black CEOs currently in corporate America. Right now, we stand at 5. In this original Black Excellist video, we will present you with a question and do our best to answer it. Where are the Black CEOs? So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. Progress for Black executives is still lagging 6 decades after the Civil Rights Act. Corporations are at a disadvantage as the nation gets more diverse and less white. They are not prepared and must adapt to better read America's ever-changing consumer taste and demographics. Greater diversity of leadership will only help the financial performance and innovation of Fortune 500 companies and startups that continue to fuel the economy and supply jobs that Americans desperately need. The shortage of Black chief executives running America's top 500 companies stands at just 2%. That's only 5 of the 279 top executives listed at the 50 biggest companies in the S&P. And the numbers aren't much better on the rungs of the ladder leading up to that role either. Among all U.S. companies with 100 or more employees, Black people hold just 3% of executive or senior level roles, according to Equal Employment Opportunity Commission data. Decades after the Civil Rights Movement and laws that ban workplace discrimination, progress for Black executives is still lagging. Number 2. After the nationwide protest of 2020, companies have to live up to their promises. After the summer of 2020, when several cities took to the streets to protest the violent deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and countless other innocent Black people, it seemed like every major corporation was stepping up to the plate to condemn racism. We saw statement releases, announcements for new diversity programs, and pledges to give millions of dollars to the Black community. However, since most companies do not publish the progress made on these goals and other milestones, we are not really sure whether they have met these commitments or not, but we must hold them accountable. Oftentimes, research has shown that many corporate America companies tend to view diversity as a nice-to-have and a photo op, but not necessarily as a corporate policy. There has to be more transparency as it relates to the diversity numbers of Fortune 500 companies and progress being made on their promises to the Black community. This is especially important if the company's product has a strong Black consumer base. Number 3. Code switching is exhausting, and many Black professionals refuse to play along. Code switching is the ability of a person to switch up to be accepted by the more dominant group. It includes alterations of speech, mannerisms, clothes, hairstyles, and music from one environment to another. Code switching is something that corporate America silently demands of its Black employees, especially at the executive level. Many Black employees feel that they have to shed some of their racial identity or Blackness to feel included, qualify for higher positions, or receive the compensation equivalent of their white peers. Code switching has long been a strategy for Black coworkers to successfully navigate professional interactions and has large implications for their economic advancement and even career survival. Black employees find themselves sharing artificial interests with members of the dominant group in hopes of proving similarity with those in higher positions of power. We code switch in the workplace because we believe it helps remove negative stereotypes associated with our Black identity. We want to be viewed as leaders and not lazy. Black professionals may think this helps raise the chances of promotions and salary increases and ultimately gives you membership into the club. But it is a difficult situation for Black professionals who are faced with the dilemma of code switching on a daily basis. It comes at an enormous psychological cost as we attempt to assimilate into white culture, but at the same time stay true to our Black heritage. This stress can lead to health issues, depression, emotional distress, burnout, and hostility. Many executive candidates, high-performing individuals, and now the younger generation of Black professionals refuse to play the game and do not want to operate constantly underneath the microscope of judgmental coworkers and executive colleagues. This group ultimately declines to pursue executive positions and potential career advancement opportunities since they feel that a role in executive position means that they have to suppress their cultural identity for the sake of career success. Number 4. Patterns of exclusion and discrimination are still prevalent in corporate America. Today, stubborn patterns of exclusion and discrimination are still keeping Black executives from reaching the apex of corporate America. Black employees are missing in the all-important pipeline of talent that feeds top management and the CEO job at too many Fortune 500 companies. When Black employees are elevated to the C-suite, they are frequently given roles with less advancement potential, such as Chief Human Resources Officer, Chief Sales Officer, or Chief Administration Executive. And while discrimination is a likely factor, it can be very challenging to pinpoint and prove. The early 2000s saw the rise of many powerful African Americans in corporate America. It was thought to be the beginning of a wave of African Americans welcomed to the C-suites. However, that number of Black CEOs at the helm of Fortune 500 companies have plateaued, and the floodgates of Black COOs, CFOs, and CEOs just never materialized. Black professionals are reporting more and more incidents of racism, discrimination, and promotion passovers. But quietly, discrimination is being played out in the form of very few Black executives being groomed for key leadership posts, very few Black employees being identified for executive talent pools, and very few Black managers being fast-tracked into C-suite executive positions. Number 5. Diversity training is proving to be ineffective and counterproductive. It shouldn't be surprising that most diversity programs aren't increasing diversity. While companies have long talked about the importance of diversity while spending billions a year on such efforts, money and resources have often been devoted to flawed programs with only mixed evidence of effectiveness. Oftentimes, the task of diversifying is left to the human resource department, and the executive team doesn't have an authentic interest to advance the cause. Despite a few new bells and whistles, courtesy of big data, companies are basically doubling down on the same approaches they've used since the 1960s, which often makes things worse. What it boils down to is that many companies are spending money on diversity programs without the investment in activities and initiatives that will increase diversity. Firms have long relied on diversity training programs that are designed almost entirely with the mission to preempt lawsuits. Yet studies show that this kind of force-feeding can activate bias rather than eliminate it. Mandatory diversity training may be sparking a backlash that may even be contributing to the Black executive declines. The companies with the best diversity results are those that have developed longer-term diversity programs that are focused on retaining and advancing staff, not just recruitment and hiring. It's more effective to engage managers in solving the problem, increase their on-the-job contact with African American employees, while promoting community service and social accountability. Furthermore, mentorship programs, executive-level diversity officers, and lean diversity task forces have shown much success, but only if the CEO is an active stakeholder in the initiative and is willing to align the company's and his own performance to the measured results. Number 6. White men in leadership do not believe racism exists in corporate America. Once at the top, many Black executives struggle in the high-ranking executive positions. Many Black executives have reported feeling as if they have no allies and that colleagues don't take them seriously. Surveys show that many older white men are simply in a state of denial when it comes to the racial barriers that exist in corporate America. Those who tend to hold leadership roles believe the workplace has very few, if any, racial barriers at all. A recent survey also showed that only 19% of white men aged 45 years and above believe that obstacles exist for employees of color to advance within their company. This is compared to 43% of their Black colleagues who say they definitely exist. Research shows that white male executives don't feel comfortable reaching out informally to minority men and young women. Yet, they are eager to mentor assigned young white protégés, even though minorities and women are often the first to sign up for these formal mentorship programs. White men are also more likely to be placed on the fast track based on their perceived potential, whereas with Black employees, there is no presumption of qualification, and they often have to display a proven and sustained record of solid performance before ever being considered executive talent. Number 7. Black executives lack consistent contact with company leaders. Corporate success, in large part, hinges on relationships. These professional relationships are critical to the advancement of Black professionals to C-suite positions. Successful Black executives have expressed a huge upside with being paired with genuine mentors and working for companies where the CEO and middle management are personally invested in the mission to diversify the company's workforce. A 2019 Korn Ferry survey of Black executives found that 86% believed that the most critical factor in helping their career progress was having a sponsor or someone who supported and helped advocate for them when new projects or promotions come up. Yet many Black professionals say they lack contact with company leaders and do not have personal relationships with their senior level managers or directors. A recent study found that only 31% of Black professionals report having access to their senior leadership team. This is compared with 44% of their white colleagues. Number 8. We reject the false narrative that there is a lack of Black executive talent. When it comes to Black advancement, one popular argument among many white executives is that there is a short supply of talent. This is simply not true. The pool of college-educated professional Black talent is currently at an all-time high. A higher rate of Black people studying at the master's level are focusing on business-related fields than white master's degree students. Among all Black students receiving master's degrees in the 2018-2019 academic year, 28% of them studied subjects such as business management and marketing. Among white students earning masters, 22% studied those subjects, according to the National Center for Education Statistics. Number 9. Companies have made strides in recruiting, but are not prioritizing retainment. Many companies have tended to focus on diversity when it comes to recruitment, but not advancement. As most companies know, recruiting and retaining top talent is a time-consuming yet highly critical process that directly affects the ultimate success of an organization. Not only is the goal to obtain employees that are an ideal fit for the institution as a whole, but also for their long-term contributions to their team or company. Companies should develop strategies to retain diverse talent and support career development of Black employees, which will only result in increasing the profitability and success of the organization. Black employees not only value an environment where they see more people that look like them, but they also want to work for someone who values their input and is committed to developing their professional talents as well. As Black employees demand the compensation and promotions that aligns with their experience, firms can no longer afford to hire them, train them, and then sit by idly and watch them go. Companies need to do more to retain and promote Black employees. And while corporations may be able to get Black talent into the door, they are not doing a good job at keeping them. This is not only neglecting African Americans from reaching the pinnacle of their professional careers, it is also coming at a huge cost for the company. Research suggests that the cost of a professional leaving an organization can be as high as twice the average associate salary or a minimum of 1 year's worth of salary and benefits. Number 10. White women benefit the most from diversity, minority, underrepresented initiatives. You may have seen various companies' diversity reports or PR statements promoting their annual commitments to equality and celebrating the value of differences. We appreciate and applaud their efforts, but the problem is revealed when we start to peel back the layers and dig into the actual numbers on their quote-unquote diversity. Let's try to break this down. In corporate America, when they promote their commitment to diversity and equality for the underrepresented, it is quite ambiguous and may be deliberately misleading. Minority groups, diversity groups, and underrepresented populations is really just a big mixed bag. First of all, this includes all people of color, Blacks, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans, etc., etc. It also includes members of the LGBTQ community of any race. Then they include immigrants or foreign-born of any race and from any nation. This mixed bag also includes employees with disabilities of any race. And then you can't leave out military veterans of any race, Black women of course. And you may not know this, but yes, white women. They are considered members of this monolithic minority group and have quietly become the face of the inclusive movement. We have a problem with this. Historically, whenever there has been an equality movement or anti-discriminatory initiative, white women have always been the greatest beneficiaries. As African Americans, once again, we end up with the short end of the stick in this giant one-size-fits-all diversity and inclusion solution. We can't help but feel a bit of disillusionment and cynicism about diversity efforts and how much of that is actually benefiting Black employees. Black employees, especially Black women, I guess we'll have to just stand in line.
We appreciate the fact that you stayed with us until the end. Thank you for spending time with us, and don't forget to like this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so that you never miss a video. Bye for now. We will see you tomorrow.